Yo guys, what's up? TheJordude's here, back again with another Shadowverse video, and this is episode 2 on my notable picks. So again, this is a series where I'm going to be talking about interesting or good / cool cards that I find in the up and coming expansion Wonderland Dreams. And again, this is 100% my opinion, so if there's something I miss out on or you have different views on, feel free to leave a comment down below. So the first card I want to talk about, first of all, to note, there's nothing on here for Forest. That's not too interesting in my opinion. So moving on to Sword, we have Cinderella. It's their legendary. Their other legendary to gain is Hero of Antiquity, but I'm not going to talk about it. It doesn't seem that great. Cinderella, on the other hand, is a 3-cost 4/4 that evolves into a 6/6, and the effect is whenever another allied swordcraft follower comes into play, return this follower to your hand. So this is a negative effect that is supposed to be like the balancing point for the overstats. So as you can tell, 3 cost for 4/4 that evolves into a 6/6 is really good. That's why it has to give a negative effect. However, what makes this card interesting is that because Wonderland Dreams is pushing a lot of neutral support package, we might have enough neutral support where you only have to play like the very best sword legendaries like Albert, like that kind of stuff, and then you could just stuff in a bunch of good neutral cards, and then that way you're essentially your overstated followers that have a negative effect if you're playing other class cards aren't very relevant. So by having Cinderella with a bunch of neutrals, you're playing a 3-cost 4/4, and it's really good stats, a pretty good tempo, especially when you just drop it on turn 3. It's going to dominate the board for you. And Sword is a craft that if you get bored early on, Sword is very strong in the mid game. So by having board control, so like Cinderella fits that picture perfectly. And even though it's a negative effect, sometimes like if you're trading a bunch of maybe Cinderella hits like a 3/2, and then maybe you want to bounce it back into your hand and try to recycle the value. That's a possible thing. But yes, a neutral swordcraft seems actually to be shaping up pretty well here, especially with this addition of Cinderella. On to the next card I want to talk about is I'm going to be talking about the 2 Runecraft legendaries. I think they're both pretty interesting. First off is Wizardess of Oz. She's a 5-cost 4/5. It evolves into a 6/7. Her effect is fanfare, draw cards until there are 5 cards in your hand. Change the cost of the spells without spell boost in your hand to 1. And then her last words are at the start of your next turn, banish all spells in your hand. Okay, so this is interesting because so far we actually haven't seen any rune spells yet. So it's kind of interesting because typically most of rune spells are spell boost cards. So in my opinion, I kind of see Wizardess of Oz in more of an aggressive tempo style rune. And then the spells you play would actually be like neutral spells. So you could play cards like the new egg one, right? Let's see. Yeah, Egg Explosion. And Into the Looking Glass, of course. But yeah, and you may be playing like Dance of Death as well. What else is good neutral spells? I can't think of top of my head, but maybe you play Wizardess of Oz with a bunch of neutral spells, and then the neutral spells count as your neutral cards because a lot of rune cards have if you have more neutrals than runecraft cards in your hand, and the neutral spells count, so that could definitely work. So Wizardess of Oz, I'm not too sure if it's going to be powerful. We're going to have to see what kind of synergies the deck will have as a neutral archetype. The next card I want to talk about is Rune 2nd Legendary, Abomination Awakened. It's a 3-cost 6/6. The evolve is still a 6/6, but the effect is as it's unevolved, it can't attack. However, if the number of your cards in your hand increases to 9 during your turn, then this card automatically gets evolved, and the follower deals 3 damage to all enemy followers. Like, Rune is a class, like, especially if you're playing a more control combo style of Rune. Rune is a class that's going to fill up your hand a lot of times. So if you play Abomination Awakened like early on, say just throw it on turn 3, and then you play cards that either continue cycling or you play like a Fate's Hand, so you +1, then like Abomination, once its effect goes, once you reach that 9 card hand, it's going to do an AoE only to your opponent's side of the field, so not even hitting your own board. And it could start attacking, and it's like a 6/6. So the card's pretty good. You're probably going to find some awkward situations where it's just going to be dead. Or I guess technically you could evolve it so it could attack, but you won't get the AoE. But I do think this card is going to be pretty powerful in Rune decks that are going to be drawing cards. So it probably wouldn't go in a deck where you're playing Wizardess of Oz, but I do think it's still really powerful. But then again, I could be completely wrong. It could be like too awkward to play, but on paper it looks good. The next cards I'm going to talk about are in Dragoncraft. I know I've only been talking about legendaries, but I'm actually going to skip over the Dragon Legendary at the moment, at least. And I'm going to be talking about their gold amulet, tilting at Windmills. So it's a 7 cost. There's no countdown with it. And whenever you play a neutral follower, give it Storm and destroy it at the end of your turn. So this is more supporting towards of course, the neutral package, as well as a more Storm style dragon, which focuses on doing like big burst damage. So turning at Windmills, I do think could be pretty cool. It does cost 7, which is pretty expensive. It's going to take up your entire turn to set it up. But the turns after that, you're pretty much just going face at that point, and you're just, it's kind of like a combo deck because you set up the tilting at Windmills and then you just go in face. You could possibly throw out some crazy combos with the new neutral legendary Queen of Dreadsea. I'm going to be talking about that in my next video in episode 3. But tilting at Windmills, it could do some crazy combos with it, so it's definitely going to be an interesting card. Is it going to be a top tier card? It's hard to say because it does destroy your followers at the end of the turn, so you won't get bored after that once you play this deck and you're playing a bunch of neutral cards. But it could do a lot. Like, you play tilting at Windmills and then you play Sahako Bahamut. That's like 17 damage. Like, so yeah, there's like those kind of combos, right? There's a lot of different combos you could do with tilting and Windmills, so definitely a card to look out for. And we all know that Storm could be pretty broken. Rhinoceros. Anyways, our next card we're going to be talking about is Red Ragewyrm. So it's kind of like a meme card. Actually, when I saw this card as a leak, I didn't think it was real, but it actually is a card. And it's a golden Dragoncraft follower, 3 costs, 0/5, evolves into a 10/10. So the effect is, as it's unevolved, it can't attack. However, when it is evolved, it can attack, and this card is destroyed at the end of the turn. So if you're going to evolve it, it's just going to die. So that 10 damage is probably, you do want it to go face if it's stuck on the board a turn, so the summoning sickness is gone. So yeah, the Red Ragewyrm is. I'm not too sure if it's going to be a good card, because first of all, it's not a neutral, so it doesn't go in the neutral package. And second of all, it has to survive a turn, which at 5 health, it has a pretty good chance of surviving, especially like if your opponent doesn't have a board on turn 3, then you play this. They're probably not killing it, especially if they went first. So if you're going second and you can evolve on 4, and you play this on 3 and you can evolve it, you can do 10 damage face, which is pretty funny, but like, but then you would lose your board, your initiative after that, after that 10 damage burst. So I do think this card is kind of memey. I don't know if it's actually going to be good, but it looks like it's going to be some fun, and we can make some fun decks with this card at the very least. And yeah, that's going to be it for this episode of the TheJordude's notable picks. If you guys have more opinions on the cards that I looked over, or you think I skipped over any of these, make sure you comment down in the description, or comment down below, and yeah, I'd love to read your comments and chat with you guys. So thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe and check out the links down below in the description so you can follow me on all my various channels. And yeah, have a good one. Peace.